Hello, everyone. This is Rebecca Greene for the Whinypaluza Podcast, and I am extra excited because we get to talk to the amazing Kate Burrow today. Kate, thank you so much for doing this with me today.
I'm excited to be here.
Kate is very special to me, which I'll tell you about soon. But first, I want to tell you why she's so fantastic. Kate holds a master's degree in higher education administration and has over 20 years of experience working with college students at colleges and universities across the country. She has taught many career major exploration and college success courses through the years. So, why does this feel like a tongue twister today? Most recently, she received her certificate in leadership coaching and is currently learning how to be a proactive conversations, conflict management, communication facilitator. That was too many C's, Kate. She,
Hmm.
she is a wife, mom of two, and enjoys reading, attending theater events, and arts and crafts. And I know that she loves to read, and I know how fabulous her arts and crafts are. And I know how smart she is because um, I'm going to full disclosure. Kate helped me through my son's first year of college, and Kate knows that. Kate is wonderful. And she helped me so much that I wanted to bring her to you so that she could help all of you. So let's dive in and let's start with what inspired you to go into higher education administration?
Wow, that's a great question. I was an RA during college, and I knew I wanted to be an RA from probably the first week I moved in to SUNY Fredonia because I loved the community and my RA was, bringing people together to have meetings, to have social events. I'm like, I could do that. I want to do that. And so I got that in my head. And then eventually I got the job. Not on the first time I applied for it, but eventually they hired me and I loved it. And everyone told me I was going to go into higher ed. And I said, no, 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 I want to do public relations. And that was the plan. And so I graduated. And then I went and did the Disney College program. And I was there and thought, I don't like corporate America. And I came home at 21 and had a midlife crisis because I didn't know what I wanted to do because it was not doing public relations anymore. And so I decided to go back for my master's. And then because I had the experience in the residence halls, I got a graduate assistantship. And then 20 plus years later, here I am. But what's funny is that I lived on a college campus until I was 37 with my husband and kids, which is unique and fun. And I love the college experience. So,
That's amazing. I knew some of that. I didn't know all of that. So I'm glad I asked. That's so interesting. What did you learn from like living on the campus?
well, I think it's kept me young and full of amazing stories. And it's interesting to get to see students when you live with them. You see them where they're at outside the classroom. You see them at their best, you see them at their worst, you see them when, they wouldn't want their parents seeing them. And, when they're, succeeding and having great relationships, and when they're really not and really struggling and in those emergency situations.
Yeah.
So I get to see a lot of growth. I get to really see the impact that my colleagues and I have on students. It's a really rewarding role.
I mean, I love watching you do it. I've often said, "Oh my God, I would love her job." I think your job is so cool. I think your job is stressful. I'm not like minimizing it. I think Kate has a stressful job, but I think it's an amazing job.
It's funny, like I deal with students in crisis, and then I will randomly find out that you can fit 209 pumpkins in a Ford Fusion because I was program shopping and we were carving pumpkins, and that's how many I could fit. And
Oh my
there's just
gosh.
it's silly. So I mean, you see both sides of it. So yes, at times it's very stressful, and other times it's really enjoying, really fun, and it's neat. And it helps me understand my own kids because being a college student today is very different than when I was a college student. But it's also very different, for my children. So it's helped me prepare me as a mom of a college student, having worked in the industry and in education and seeing where students have like concerns and where they fall short and what advice I'd want to give.
Okay, we're going to talk about all that because I have so many questions. Okay,
Sure.
so you've watched so many kids move in. We want to know, what is move-in day like from where you're sitting? What do you have to say about it?
Move-in day is a very emotional day. It's emotional day for everybody because there are some parents that are can't wait to drop their students off and leave them behind. And then there are the parents that I wonder if they're going to be okay driving home because they're so distraught and upset and emotional because of who they're leaving behind. So everybody cries on move-in day. Sometimes it's tears of joy, sometimes it's tears of stress, and it brings out, I think, the best and the worst in parents, in students. So you see it all. So expect the day to be that there to be some hiccups. Because, for example, depending on the size of the school, there are thousands of students moving in at the same time. And while we have a well-oiled machine, there's always going to be a hiccup. A key
Yes,
is bent or, and you just need to understand that you could have an idea of your timeline, but your timeline is probably not going to go the way that you expect. And so expect
good
that there will be
advice.
hiccups.
Very good advice. And we're curious as parents. We leave, and what's happening when we leave with the kids? Like, what's happening next?
Good question. So once you get students moved in and you unpack and you make the room really pretty, students will find each other and they'll find people to go eat with. We'll have floor meetings if students live on campus. Um, and we'll gather them together and take them to the big events. Like there's always events, there's always things that are scheduled every minute of opening weekend because we want to keep people busy. We want to make sure that they're meeting other people. And some of the things may seem corny and students might not want to participate. The important thing as a parent is to make sure your students are going and say, go, that's where you're going to meet people and go because it's expected of you and you never know what you're going to miss by not attending. So go, 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 go. Some of the best events we do are opening weekend because it's when students aren't too cool to stop showing up for things. And so there's fun things, but there's a lot of information too. Like we have like welcome events and we give a lot of information like semester deadlines and things like that. So students should go to everything that's expected of them. It's like orientation. You don't miss orientation, because orientation and welcome weekend, those are things like college has started, and anything you skip from that point forward, you're missing out.
That's really good advice. I wish that I would have done this interview a year ago, but it will benefit everyone else and my future and my kids who will go to become freshmen. Anyways, what's the biggest fear that freshmen never tell their parents? What do you think?
Hmm. My biggest fear that I have for students, I'm going to flip the question,
Yeah, you
is that they
can.
think that it's going to be easier than it is. Like some people come in really confident, like I did really great in high school. I got all A's and I was on the top of my class. Yes, but now you're with other students who were the top of their class and you're competing against, it's much more competitive. It is much more requires a lot of resilience and independence, which most people aren't ready for. And so
Yeah,
that's my biggest fear is that students think they're ready when they're not. Or the biggest fear is that they don't want their parents to be disappointed in them if they start to struggle. And so, as a parent, I think it's important to explain to your students when they go is that this is hard. You are expected to struggle. This is not easy. This is not an easy transition. And so, when it gets tough, you can be honest with me and I'm not going to freak out. And then you have to promise yourself and them that you're not going to freak out. But if you can start things off with that honest conversation with your students and get them to open up to you early on, there's so much that can be done. There are so many resources. College is expensive, but there's a lot of resources that come in. Like most colleges offer free tutoring. They offer academic advising, success coaches, retention people that are checking in if students aren't coming to classes and so forth. Um, I think the biggest thing students are not prepared for is they think that college professors are going to be like their high school teachers, and they're not.
Yeah.
Um, when I teach my student success class, the first thing I tell my students is I'm like, look, your professors are masters in their field, and they are the best and the brightest. They are researchers, like they are information experts in whatever they're teaching. But that doesn't mean they know how to teach. That doesn't mean that they have, the soft skills that we expect our teachers to have in the classrooms. Like they are experts and they demand excellence. And sometimes that doesn't land well with students who've never had to study on their own or teach themselves content.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that that is the biggest disconnect, and that's where things start going south. Um, Students will come to college and expect that college professors will educate them. No, it's you're enrolled in classes and you are responsible for educating yourself. And the professor's only one tool to get you there. But reading the textbooks, going to the study sessions, like doing all the optional reading, like nothing is optional in college. If it's on the syllabus or it's suggested or optional tutoring or review class, no, it's not optional. You go.
I hope everyone's listening to that because I do think that you can take optional to mean optional.
Optional does not mean optional in college. It's a fallacy.
Okay.
Um, if it's saying that, there's an optional review session, it's because they're offering it because a good portion of students don't do well their first time around taking the course. Um, and they're classes that are notoriously hard for first year students, like bio, like you don't ever miss a biology review or anything in the science and maths. Like, no, you go to the reviews.
Yes. Yes. So we're talking about students. You talk to so many parents. I know you get the phone calls. What are the parents afraid of calling about? What are they complaining to you about?
Parents wish that I had a magic wand and could just make things go better for their room. They're like, it always starts out, I don't want my student to know that I'm calling, but, and it's like, well, you've tied my hands because I can't magically just show up and be like, I hear that there's conflict in this room. Like, so parents either need to be honest with their student that they're calling to get advice, or they'll be like, I'm not going to tell you who my student is. And then I give the advice and say, tell your student to talk to me. And I can give the students directly the information, the resources, the skills, and we could step in. Um,
Yeah, so let's stay there for a minute because
sure.
oh, you know me. She knows me well, and she knows that I sat on my hands all year and didn't make any phone calls thanks to her guidance. And I'm not saying they should never call. I don't want to say that, but I feel like, can you give us advice of it's really the student's job now to kind of take over? So,
Mhm.
how do we transition? I sat on my hands.
If students start bringing things and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is unacceptable, well, what have you done? Ask the student, have you talked to anybody? Have you talked to your RA if it's a residence hall issue? Have you talked to your hall director? What steps have you taken? Make them take the steps first. If they're not getting anywhere, then you can call or you can intervene or you can offer to, or you can role play, say, you know, why are you not talking to somebody about this? Are you nervous? Do you need me to talk to someone on your behalf? Do you want to call together? But there needs to be intervention and there needs to be, resources need to be sought out. And sometimes students will lie. Um,
Never.
but I will also say another piece of advice, Make sure that if you're giving any financial help to your students, that they sign the FERPA release form so you can see their bill, their grades, the holds. Because as a parent, you have a lot of power. If you can see everything and see all their records, you can know what's going on. And, holds because there's a conduct problem, it means that your student's in trouble and they're not telling you. Or if there's any kind of holds, any kind of notes that are on files, usually the students will be notified. Sometimes as parents, you can see that. If you're paying the bill, that is a great leverage point with your student to say, no, I want access. No, I want to be able to see your grades and your midterm grades
Great
because,
advice.
students can make that optional, but if parents are paying, like that's a big piece of control and you want to make sure that you get a return on your investment.
Absolutely. And I didn't know that. So thank you. More information from Kate for me. So, what do you think separates the students who are thriving their first semester and the students who are struggling?
Ooh, if they struggled in high school, they're going to have an easier time in college, believe it or not, because they know how to persist. And they've known
Oh,
that it does, like things don't come easy. And they've known that they've had to seek out help or ask for help. People who've never had to ask for help, it's hard the first couple times they have to do it. And so if they're like the top of their class and did really well in high school and all of a sudden they're at a school that's very competitive and they've never had to ask for help and all of a sudden they are not, the best and the brightest. That's hard for them. That is
yes.
really hard for them. So I would say that being able to ask for help, expecting that they will need to ask for help. College is a confusing place. There is so much red tape, and the students that ask for help are the ones who get the help and will continue on. The people who will don't ask for help are going to get stuck and will remain stuck until they are able to ask for help.
That's really good. Okay. That's good. Learn something else, everybody. I do think that the students, especially who didn't have to study in high school, oh boy,
Hmm.
right?
And I will tell you, high schools inflate grades too. Like, oh, well, you did the
Yes.
homework. Guess what? In
Yes.
college, you do the homework because you need to learn. And it's, like, great, you did the homework. That's the expectation. It's a job. Like, that is your job. You will do the homework because it's expected to you, but it doesn't mean I'm grading it. And it doesn't mean that when I give you a test, that the homework's going to bring you up.
Yes. All excellent points. So much to learn when you start college. That is for sure. So, we talked a little bit about this, but what do you think the biggest mistake us parents are making?
I would say that is um the biggest mistake. That's tricky. Depends on the student. I'd say
Yeah.
the biggest trick students not realizing that they're not doing well early enough.
Mm.
Because
Yes.
like usually a student like sometimes like some classes, there's a midterm and a final. And that might be the only two things that are graded. And if you fail a midterm, it's really late to learn that you're not doing well.
Oh gosh.
So it's hard. So I would just say the earlier you can get ahead of problems, the better off you're going to be. And there's not a lot of time. So people need to almost come in nervous, a healthy level of nervous. Like we want people to be confident and, excited about being in college, but they need a healthy level of, I would say, nervousness to know that, this is not a gift. Like anything you achieve, you have to work for. And to going in with this is, this is the time like to start off really putting in the work in order to be successful. Like there might be a easy class here or there, but the majority of times they need to be prepared to do the work, to do the reading. And no one's not going to necessarily be over their shoulders, quizzing them on the reading, but they're still responsible for reading it. And learning how each professor has a different mindset of where they get the test questions and how they're assessing. Like it's a lot. It's
A lot.
I would say using tutoring, like start out using tutoring. And if you get an A and you're like, oh, I don't even need this, then you can stop going. But it's never too early to start, you know, seeking help and getting help from people who've been there and done that. And there's so much information that can be passed you, by upperclassmen that have taken classes in the major. And that information is just really helpful to have.
Yes, it sounds like they need to be proactive and not underactive.
Yes, proactive, proactive, proactive. And
Yeah.
I will tell you, the parents that are the most difficult to work with are from Long Island. And this is why. Because I guess, Long Island is so competitive that people compete for the resources and all the opportunities. So the parents are like, they're intense. If the parents could train their students to all be like Long Island parents, there'd be no concerns.
That's good to know. That's
Hmm.
interesting. I can only imagine it would be so fun to just be in Kate's office and see all the phone calls she gets.
When I see certain area codes, I'm like, oh boy, I take a breath and I make
You're
sure,
like, here I go.
like sometimes, like I look at if I get I'll tell you a little secret. Sometimes I will go and I will make sure I have information before I call a parent back
Yeah,
because I have like 1,500 students in my area. And when I know about a student, it's either for really good reasons or really bad reasons. The bulk are students I've never heard of and won't hear of, and that's good.
that's good. We want that.
So when I get a parent calling, I like look up, I'm like, who's their student? And I get information
Yes.
and do the research so that I can have information so I'm just not like unequipped to have the conversation with the parent on the
I
other line.
I completely understand and think that's very smart. And I know from talking to parents that parents might get the phone call from their kids that say, I hate it here and I want to come home. So, how would you advise those parents who might get that phone call?
Well, as somebody who's been the student making that phone call,
Oh,
or at that, summer job that I hated and didn't think I was going to live through the summer, um, I always worked away and sometimes it was a lot. Remind people you can do anything you want to for like 2 months or 3 months.
yeah,
The important thing is, okay, this isn't working well for you, you can transfer, but you got to finish what you start. You don't, because here's the thing, if you withdraw or walk away in the middle of the semester, that is so much money and time that you have flushed down the toilet. It is better if you like first semester, you should focus on being successful in anything that you take academic wise, because success will transfer school to school, and you want to have that strong GPA and you want to have all of that, work show that you've completed things. So it's important to finish. And you make deals with your student. If your student's miserable, say, okay, it's, September, you've been doing this a month, you're miserable. Let's try to see how you feel at Thanksgiving. If you're still feeling this way at Thanksgiving, we will apply for you to go somewhere else in January, but I need you to tough it out. And if you get the phone call like, I want to come home now, I would ask the question, are you safe? If
good
they say,
question.
and safe is different than uncomfortable.
Yes.
Safe is, is someone physically like, are they physically in danger? Sometimes they can be mental health wise be in such a bad place that that makes them unsafe. But
Yeah.
are you safe? And really kind of talking that through. Um, if it's okay for students to be left in places where they're uncomfortable and told, yep, I will come and get you but it's in the middle of the night. We can have this conversation at, noon in the morning. And you'd be surprised just giving people a couple of extra hours. They're like, okay, I was able to get through it. Like, can you make it through another day? Because here's the thing, you can always leave college, but it is really hard to come back once you've closed that door.
Yeah. Ah, such good advice. How did you feel when you were feeling that way? How did you get through it and get to a better place?
I remember I didn't have the most positive experience in grad school. And I thought about not finishing my degree and I was struggling. And I had a mentor who said, yeah, I remember feeling that way when I did this summer internship. And I remember going back after I had a weekend off and being in tears because that was home and that's what I had to go back to. But then I reminded myself that I could do anything I needed to for a short amount of time. And that time is like a blip on the radar. And like, deferring that deferred gratification, like, okay, yes, I might not like where I'm at, but I'm going to finish. It's only X number of weeks, X number of days to get to that point where you're able to make a smart decision. It's okay to change majors. It's okay to switch schools. It's okay to decide you don't like living on campus and you'd rather commute. All those things, you can make those decisions. But my advice is to ride out the decisions you make for a while before drastically changing courses. To think about it and remind yourself that even if it sucks, you can survive it and you can make it better.
We
And that
can
it
do
won't
hard
suck
things.
forever. Yeah,
Yes,
we can do hard
we can
things.
do hard things. Yes, we have
And
to remember that.
and you know what? I went back my second year and it was better, but there were times when it sucked. I'm like, you know
Yeah,
what? I've got less than a year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my degree and I'm going to go far, far away. That's how I landed in
amazing.
Wisconsin. And it was wonderful and beautiful. And, but at times, yeah, things are tough. And resilience is something that people are going to need for life because, people are going to have crappy jobs or crappy bosses, or there's going to be parts of their life that are not going to be good and they're going to need to endure it. And so this is no different.
Practice.
They don't have to like it. They don't have to like it.
Yes.
They have the power to change things, but they should change things at times when it's going to be to their benefit, not to their detriment.
Thank you. Excellent. All excellent. So we want to stay connected as parents, but we want our kids to become independent. So how do we do both?
I would set up a schedule with your student to say, okay, I'm going to check in on you on Tuesday and Thursday nights, like every other day. Sorry, or after big tests or things like that. But communicate when you're going to talk to each other. Because parents panic the moment that students don't
Yep.
answer their phone, and it could be because they're having fun or they're
Yeah.
studying or they don't want to take a break and talk to mom when they're with their friends. It could be for good reasons too. So,
Yeah.
um, I would say it drives me crazy. I have a son and a daughter. My son will never pick up the phone, no matter how many times I call. And he always has it on silent. So I usually have to call my daughter to get a hold of my son.
Oh my gosh.
It drives me bonkers. Boys are tricky. So, you know, I would set up the expectations. If my son was going away, I would say, if I call you and you don't call me within a couple hours or text me a time of when you're going to connect with me, I'm going to assume bad things. And then I will call the RA to knock on your door and it's going to embarrass you. So, how are we going to manage this communication thing? I expect to hear from you within X number of hours of the time that I call you.
Yes. And I know for me, I loved the texts and I loved the calls, but once a week, I told him once a week I had to see his face.
That's fine. That's good. And with technology, that's super easy. Like
Yeah.
FaceTime is great.
Yeah. Yeah. I needed that face-to-face touch. I just need it once a week.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, yes. And it's interesting because I talk to some parents who talk to their kids multiple times a day, and I
Oh,
talk to
absolutely.
right, and I talk to some parents who talk to their kids once a week. So,
Like it's funny. Like I'm in my 40s. I talk to my parents every other day, but my husband talks to his parents maybe every 2 weeks.
Oh,
And that would drive me crazy.
I
And
agree. Yeah,
yeah.
boys, boys. So you've seen so many roommate relationships. She's guided through my own personal roommate issues with my child. What is the secret to making them work?
Okay. Your roommate does not have to be, well, I would say your student's roommate does not have to be their best friend. In fact, it's best if they're not. They need to be civil and respectful. And um, in order to start that relation up, strong, to really have honest conversations about what's going to get on their nerves.
Mhm.
Most students will hand out what's called a roommate agreement, and it's a set of questions to ask. Answer them honestly. Like, are you going to be okay if I have, my significant other in the room every single night of the week? And it's hard to be able to say, yeah, that's going to get on my nerves. Um, I moved out of my room my freshman year because my roommate's boyfriend was always over and I loved her. I hated him.
Yeah.
And that stunk, but I allowed it because when we were talking, I said, "Oh, that's fine." And then I was an absolute slob to punish her. Like I was gross. I left my laundry. I'm like, well, I'd clean if ever I had the room to myself in order to do it. And like I was mean. Um, no, to be
Ever being mean.
Oh, I was passive aggressive. And it's funny. My freshman roommate and I are friends today and have been since college. We just couldn't live together. Sometimes people have, you know, such lifestyle differences that they're not compatible roommates. Like you can't get your roommate to stop snoring. Like those are
Yeah.
things like you need to be able to sleep, you need to be able to study. The room needs to be relatively habitable in a sense of cleanliness and not having too much stuff. The other thing is, piece of advice is don't overpack. Don't
I was
overpack.
gonna ask you that.
Yes, like people are going to be home for breaks. Like you don't need your parka in August. You can bring your parka in October for
Mm.
October break or during parents' weekends. Like you don't need everything. Less is more in college because the spaces are small.
Do you feel like there's something that kids, so they bring too much, that I
Mhm.
know, but is there anything that you see habitually kids are forgetting that they need a pattern
Um,
of?
Shower shoes.
Oh, yes.
Shower shoes is a must. Their toiletries, laundry detergent. And here's the thing, don't just send your kids with laundry detergent if they don't know how to do laundry. I see people trying to sit on the washers and dryers to close them and overfill them. And then they wonder why the smoke alarm goes off because they're burning out the motors of our, campus machines. Like, it's more than just sending them with the pods to do the laundry. Teach them how to do laundry. Teach them how to do some basic cleaning and things like that, or, how to use bleach and how not to, turn your laundry pink and things like that. Like, give them the skills, not just the supplies.
Such good advice. I will say for Max's short stint in an apartment this summer, I realized he didn't know how to clean a toilet.
Yep.
And I was like, honey, here's your toilet bowl cleaner. Let's go.
Yep. Giving them like a crash course. And if you're living in the community
Yeah.
and you leave a mess, you should clean it up.
Yes.
Like basic,
Yes.
etiquette, like, okay, when you lived at home, mom cleaned out the drain and took, the pile of hair at the bottom of the shower tub and stuff. 35 college students' moms, aren't here. So that's on the college students to clean up after them. Like community
Yes.
etiquette. Like don't
Yes.
be gross.
Gross. Don't be gross.
Yep.
Oh, yes. I wish every college kid would hear that. Please teach your kids not to be gross when they go to college.
And
I've heard stories.
it's hard because I think some people have their own bathrooms and their own
Yeah.
rooms and they're not used to sharing their space
Yes.
or sharing, and you know, some parents just allow a lot and do a
Hmm.
lot for their children.
Yeah.
And, children haven't had to do things. And like, then we have to have meetings about things like, okay, this is a community space. We flush the toilets after we use them. Like,
Yeah.
it's back to, you know, there's the old poster, everything I learned from life, I learned in kindergarten. Like, be
Yes.
nice, wash your hands.
Yes.
There's a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that.
Well, and I don't know if you're comfortable with this question, but you've dealt with so many conflicts. Do you feel like, obviously without names, do you feel like you can tell us about a conflict that you helped them figure out?
Yes, most conflicts come down to communication and being able to compromise. Students need to be flexible and they're not always going to get their way. But that doesn't mean that they should never get their way. It means that, there needs to be compromise. Like, for example, the significant other. It's like, okay, they can't stay every night, but they can come on the weekends. Like, you need to be able to know your boundaries of what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. Things like sleep. Like, I need my sleep. Lights have to be out in order for me to sleep. Um, like and being able to come up with a respectful schedule. Um,
Yeah.
and so just having honest dialogue, I think honesty is really important. Um, I've helped a lot of people, and a lot of it comes down to I didn't know it was bothering them, or they didn't say anything to me, or why didn't you tell me you were upset with X, Y, or Z?
Yeah. It's amazing what people keep to themselves and are uncomfortable saying to their roommate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We need to be able to advocate for ourselves.
Yes, and you're going to have to advocate for yourself. Um,
Take your
just
time.
this is my
She's
text.
working. We're interfering with Kate's workday, and I so appreciate her doing this while she's working. So she's managing lots of things today. So I'm going to tell you that I think that we can really advise our kids to have the hard, uncomfortable conversations with their roommates, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So are you able to answer a question, or should I keep talking?
Nope, nope, nope.
So I'm curious what you see the freshmen coming in versus the freshmen leaving. What is the huge difference that you see from the beginning to the end of the first year?
I think people are a little bit more resilient. They've learned how to, they've learned more about themselves because it's the first time that I think most students are living by away from their parents for an extended period of time. It's not camp. It's not, 2 weeks, going on vacation. It's, a significant amount of time and they're learning how to set their own rules of what they will accept and what they won't. They're learning how to advocate and how to communicate for themselves and to be how to solve their own problems. It's a really remarkable thing to be able to see people who maybe were very passive coming in and see them develop, a better sort of assertiveness in order that they're going to need professionally.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I noticed a huge difference. My son just finished his freshman year, and it was a huge difference from start to finish. And I'm curious for you because I know you help students with this. Some students come in and they know exactly what they want to do. They know their major, they know their career, and they're like ready, set, go. And some students come in and they have no idea what they want to major in. So, what do you say to those families whose kids don't know?
Okay. If you have a student who doesn't necessarily know what they want to do, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And college is a lot of colleges are liberal arts colleges, which means you have to take a certain number of math and science and English and language in order to, supplement your degree before you even take your major classes. So it exposes you enough to be able to figure some of those things out. Now, if you don't have a major, you should take a career exploration class and a seminar, and we have plenty of resources on campus. Like the career readiness or career design or whatever they call it on your campus. They have assessments, personality tests to figure out, what your interests are. Like maybe it won't tell you what career to go into, but it will say you really like working with people. Okay, that's a priority for you. So anything that you do, you want to be working with others. You're better with, conversations rather than working with numbers and things like that. So it's a way to assess your skills, because if you know your skills, what you're good at, what your interests are, that can help you narrow down like what you want to do. And there's different aptitude tests, there's skills tests, there's so much um that people could help them figure out. I knew I went to college for public relations because I knew I loved communication. I love talking to people. I think that I can communicate. I always have been able to communicate and express myself well, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. But I loved my major. I loved all the classes I took. And then I went to graduate and I'm like, great, how does this translate into a career? And I hadn't used the Career Center as much as I should have. And I knew that I didn't want to go into broadcasting like my peers. And I didn't want to work for corporate America. So then, there were avenues for me, but I started late in the game. So using the resources early are really important. And it's not about just doing well in your classes, it's figuring out like what your degree is going to be. And your degree is just a way of saying the university endorses you for starting and finishing in this subject matter. But it's not the only way you're going to learn. You can learn through externships, internships. You might have a summer job at Wegmans or, at the supermarket or waiting tables, but try to get internships because internships give you professional experience that is almost as marketable as your degree combined with the two. So if you have a major in education, but you have all of your internships have been in the business side of things. Well, great. Now you've just opened up the doors because you're somebody who knows business from your experience, but you have a degree in education. You can go into textbook companies and things like that and do the business side of education. And that opens a whole new set of doors to you that you might not have known that existed. So you just need to focus on being successful with whatever you're doing and make sure that it's bringing you enjoyment. Um, I don't love doing math. I'm great at math, and everyone said you'd do great going into like accounting and things like that. I'm like, I would pull my hair out. It would make me
Yeah.
miserable.
Yeah.
So it's learning what you're good at and figuring out a way to use it into something that interests you, that fuels your passion. What would you do for free? Like, what would you like? It's
Yes.
thinking about like, what do you do when you want to be when you grow up? And, I like helping people. Oh, you should be a nurse. Absolutely not. I faint at the sight of blood. I have so much medical
Yeah.
anxiety. I would be the worst person to
Yeah, me
help
too.
people when they're sick. And no. So it's being able to, rule things out. And the more things you explore, the more things you can say yes to, and the more things you say no to.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, Kate, you are a wealth of knowledge. You know that. I have asked her so many questions over this last year. Kate got me through my first year as a college mom. I hope she knows that. Is there anything that you think parents need to know right now that I didn't ask you?
I think when students go to school, whether they're commuting or not, whether they're living like wherever they're living, to, I would say for parents to remind their children that, we love them no matter what, and that we want
Yes.
them to be successful, and that the journey ahead is hard, but it's exciting, that they are capable and they need to be okay asking for help, and that we are there to support them and love them when they struggle, and that we expect them to, and that's okay, and that's part of it.
You're amazing. I know you're amazing. Now everybody else knows you're amazing.
Well, I appreciate that.
I just appreciate you taking time with us, sharing your wisdom with us. Really helpful. I think that you're going to help a lot of parents and students with this episode.
Well, I am grateful to have had this opportunity and I love doing what I'm doing. And when parents call me, like the first thing I tell them is like, I'm on your team. I want your student
Yes.
to be successful and I will do everything I can to help. And
And
so,
the
yeah.
best part to watch as your friend is that I see that you love what you do and it's great to watch.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And
We are going to let Kate get on with her day. And I want to remind everyone to spend every day laughing, learning, and loving. Thank you, Kate.
thank you, Rebecca. And I will see you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Whinypaluza Podcast. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. While you are there, leave a review. I love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.